You looking for games? Oh yeah, dude, we got games at Land, the store with a name so cool we can't even say it on TV. Come get some sweet deals. Trade in your old boring games for cool new ones. Anything's possible at Land in the Voorhees Memorial Shopping Center on the other side of Caldor at the old Tats and Vape Shop. But first, a message from our sponsor.
Look at all these Batman games.
Wow, there's so many of them.
I wish these games had more Joker in them. The Joker is the greatest character in the history of all time.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
If only there was a way we could make our own Batman game that was all about the Joker. But where can we learn a skill like that? Skillshare! Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. With so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth.
They have classes that help you create art, thrive in your personal life, and even classes that help build a business, like Wayne Enterprises.
We can take Greg Wondera's class, Unreal Engine 4, Intro to Game Design. We can learn how to design objects, create a HUD, and even how to make it rain.
That sounds fun, but pretty stressful. I feel we're gonna have a problem being productive.
That won't happen. We could take Ms. Love Maginizik's class, Mental Health and Productivity for Devs and Artists. Make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity with Skillshare. It's incredibly affordable with an annual subscription that's less than $10 a month.
Just click the link in the description to get 2 free months of Skillshare premium membership and explore your creativity.
How many times do I have to tell you guys you don't work here? Get out.
Oh, sorry.
Hey Mike, why did you sell me this crappy MSX game? It says Batman, but it's not even Batman. Look, it's got Freddy Fazbear on here, and it's slime with teeth, and look, Batman's fighting a turtle.
I wanted your money.
Oh yeah,
that's why I sold it to
also,
you.
Batman looks like a chunky guy in pajamas.
Yeah, look at
really.
this.
And he's not really Batman, he's Batman.
There's like a space.
Yeah,
you sold me Batman with a space.
That's for the that's for the MSX, right?
Yeah,
the one that's on the wall. Thank you for trading that in, by the way.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, is the space where all the good gameplay went? Is that what that is?
Well, have you actually played that game?
Oh yeah, it's total trash. You're like on a grid and you move around.
No,
yeah.
you really
yeah,
played it?
No, I have. Yeah, I've played it. It sucks.
I got a good Batman game for you. I'm sure you've played it. How about Batman on NES?
Oh wow, yeah, that game's really great.
Which I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, is the best licensed NES game. Do you think there's one that's better?
I mean, what about like the Disney afternoon games, like Ducktales?
The best one of those is probably Ducktales, and I love Ducktales. People know I love Ducktales. Batman, I think Batman's way better than Ducktales.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's way better.
There's Chip and Dale and there's Darkwing Duck, but they're basically just Mega Man clones, but...
Yeah, Darkwing Duck isn't as good as Batman.
No, I don't think, honestly...
I enjoy it, but it's not as good as Batman.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a classic in its own right, even though it is licensed, which you don't... In that time, you don't see very many good licensed games. They're known... I mean, the whole stereotype going into years and years of gaming is that licensed games
also,
suck.
I think this is probably a better game than the first Ninja Turtle game.
I agree.
Even though I do love that game.
Yeah, you know what? It takes some chances. It's good. Yeah. It was hard because they had all this material from the movie, and then they expanded on it with a bunch of original ideas too, which I think was really good because a lot of licensed games suffer from the fact that they're trying to be so fixed to what the movie was about or something like that they don't really work out. Like the Batman games that came later on the Super Nintendo that were based on the Mortal Kombat engine. I think they were too focused on the graphics and like having the images from the movie and stuff that they forgot to make a video game.
Right. That's one of the strengths of this, and I think that's one of the reasons why this is so good. They were just like, they did whatever they wanted to do with this to make it a good game. Like a lot of the music in this, I don't think the Batman theme from the Tim Burton movie is in this game. This game has its own theme, and it's really good. One of the best parts about this game is the music. Every single stage from beginning to end, it has good music. There's a lot of NES games where there's like 1 or 2 memorable tunes. This has maybe the best soundtrack on the NES, or one of the top,
yeah.
for sure.
Definitely one of the top.
But I want to jump right into what about this game is so good, and I think it comes down to the mechanics of the game itself, the gameplay, and the wall jumping. Now, wall jumping in this game, you might say it's similar to Ninja Gaiden because it's the type of wall jumping where you jump from wall to wall to wall. Not like Mega Man X, where you can just jump up the wall,
right.
or like Micro Mages, you can just jump up the wall, or games like that. You guys ever play N++? Or
yeah,
N+?
I was actually watching you play that. I like that game.
So what's interesting about the wall jumping in that game is that's momentum based. You can just jump straight up a wall like Mega Man X, but if there might be a spike or something in the way. So if you're jumping up, you can't like jump over the spike unless you're going fast enough. So you have to like run first and then jump up the wall. So there's different ways to do wall jumping. You got the Mega Man X style, you got like the N+ style based on momentum, and then you have this style, which like I was saying, a lot of people would compare it to Ninja Gaiden because you jump wall to wall to wall. But the only thing is, Ninja Gaiden, if you're on one wall, you can actually jump off the wall and jump back onto the same wall.
But only go up a little bit.
But you can go up, and especially, speedrunners and stuff that get good at that, they can just go right up the wall that are really good. Batman, you can't do that. You have to jump wall to wall to wall. And I think that makes this game very unique. There's not a lot of games that do that. I think another one I can think of that actually does, though, is Shovel Knight Spectre Knight. So there's a few, but wall jumping is a mechanic that they put into games. The new Super Mario Brothers games, wall jumping. I love wall jumping in games, and it's a mechanic that I think should be explored more because there's different ways to do wall jumping, and there are a lot of things that you can do within that. And I think that's one of the things that really made this game so good.
So I have a few things to say about the wall jumping in Batman. The first thing is I can't think of another video game where you use wall jumping to go down. And there's so many places in Batman where there'll be a ledge and there'll be a wall here, and you have to jump down to this ledge here to go this way.
Right.
The other thing I like about it is a lot of the puzzles in the game are based, or by puzzles I mean finding a path through the environment is a little bit of a puzzle. It's like, when do I jump down? When do I wall jump here? And a lot of the places with the electricity and the gears and things depend on you making these super precise jumps. So it's a puzzle, it's skill-based, and it's unique. And those are the 3 things I like about the wall jump.
I think those reasons are why this game has lasted so long and why it's still a good game to this day. It takes all of those different elements, puzzle and then the mechanics and all that, and this game has stood the test of time. And I think this is the best Batman game that there was, probably up until when Arkham City came out. I love Arkham City as well, so but the thing is, they're completely different things. This is completely different than Arkham City, so it's kind of like, it's hard to compare them.
There's no way to compare these two games.
Yeah.
It's modern gameplay, the imagination's there, but the technology wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, because of the technology, they had a lot of limitations, but I think the limitations are what make this game unique for the time period. Like, for instance, Batman is purple.
Yes.
Right? Because he has to stand out against these dark backgrounds. You can't have a Batman game without dark backgrounds, without these dark, gritty warehouses. And if we made him black, or if we made him this blue and gray and yellow color, A, you'd be using too many colors, and B, you wouldn't be able to see him. He'd get lost.
There's something to be said, though, for limitations, because just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you definitely should do that thing. There's a lot of games now coming out that, they'll include actors and stuff like that in the games, which can be fine. And I could only imagine that if they had that ability back when this game came out, they probably would have put Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton into it, because it probably would have sold more copies if they were able to do that. But then you wouldn't have this game.
Yeah.
And that would be a loss,
Also, too, the thing about these kind of games is oftentimes when a studio was licensing out their game, they would go to a company, so Sunsoft, which I'm guessing it's most likely a Japanese developer for the NES, they went to these guys, said, hey, we got this Batman movie out, it's coming out, it's not out yet, so they have to make a game with no reference point other than maybe
Right.
comic books or whatever they can get their hand on at the time. I don't know if you guys ever read the Japanese Batman comics from the 60s.
Oh yeah.
They're wild. They're like really ridiculous. Like they have the same kind of villains like Clayface and stuff, but in the Japanese one, Clayface can shapeshift into anything he wants. He doesn't just make weapons. He
Right.
can just turn into a pterodactyl if he wants and things like that.
Awesome.
So it's kind of like they took Batman, had a rough idea of what he could do, and they just went nuts and made their own thing. Like he's fighting robots in this. He's fighting monsters, giant machine
I think
rooms and stuff.
I think that's good. Like, sure, you could go scene by scene by scene, you know, from the movie. And the Genesis game actually does more of that. It's
Yeah.
much closer to the movie. And that game's really cool too. But the fact that they could kind of just do whatever they want to a certain degree, you know, is awesome. I mean, that's kind of what video games are about. And we complain a lot of times like, oh, why wasn't, you know, Krang in the Ninja Turtle game or whatever? But maybe it was a better thing, you know? Maybe, you know, if they had to insert some shitty Krang into it, maybe it wouldn't have been good. Who knows?
I think what made this a standout licensed game was they started with, let's make a good game first. What does Batman do? What would a good game with Batman look like? And then they added the things like in the menus, there's like the Batmobile and things like that. So they did try to make it like the movie a little bit, but the gameplay always came first. One of the inspirations I think this game had that, you know, not a lot of people talk about is I think that the Joker fight is absolutely inspired by the Dracula fight in Castlevania. Because if you think about the way the lightning works, the way the gun works, the way he moves from side to side, the spacing, how important spacing is in the fight and things like that. These are people who've obviously fought Dracula.
Something interesting about the Joker fight, and you mentioning that, is actually in the beta version of this game, which you can get a hold of actually, the final boss of this game was actually Firebug, who is, do you guys know Firebug? Firebug is the guy you fight right before the Joker.
Right.
And you throw the batarangs at him or whatever, and he's from the comics. I don't know a lot about that character, but he was going to be the final boss of this game. And then they were going to put the game out, and they're like, the Joker's not the final boss? Like, what? And what happened was after you defeated Firebug, it went to the end cutscene, and the end cutscene had the Joker, and then Batman knocks the Joker off the edge in a cutscene. You don't actually fight him.
Okay.
So they went back and they added that at last minute, and they probably were like, "Shit, what do we do?" And they probably looked at Castlevania and were like, "Let's just
and
do
just
that."
like threw it in there.
Yeah.
Because the level leading up to Joker is kind of short as far as levels in the game go.
It's not a long game. They're all fairly short.
Yeah, it's like 5 levels, right? I think about.
It's a 5-level game. Yeah.
But they each have like
Yeah.
a couple stages each. Like it's like a 5-1, 5-2.
Yeah. The first thing I thought about thinking of the stages, this is a very dark game. I mean, it's Batman. All the backgrounds are pitch black.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the reason why he's purple. Because if Batman dresses in black, you're not going to have black on black. Unless you do the Daffy Duck thing where you do like the white line around him.
Yeah.
Maybe they tried it and it looked like shit. So they were like, let's just make him a different color.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think he actually looks great in the purple, and I think the death animation is also pretty awesome where he like bursts in the flames.
He's like flames in the shape of the bat symbol.
In the shape,
yeah, it's really cool.
Another thing that's cool about how he looks in the game is when he is stopped, his cape actually, moves in the breeze. And I was actually playing this game on CRT. You guys know that I have a big thing about playing my games on CRTs compared to LCD screens. So I did that, and what I noticed is that the coloring of Batman's sprites, going beyond just that he's purple, there are other colors going on, and even your toy has it in there, the blues and stuff. If you look at the actual sprite on a CRT TV, you can actually see there's like form and definition. Like you can see his abs and his chest and stuff like that, where I think some of that gets lost if you're looking at it on a LCD screen. So it's actually very interesting that I feel like when they were designing it, they were looking at that type of TV. It's a very different look. And
he looks like Skeletor from the back.
With the
cape, with the
purple
it's
cape
the same colors too, the same blue and purple. Like I guess they go.
Not to be Skeletor does not wear a cape.
He has it's like a hood.
He has a hood and then it stops. So sorry, I had to be that guy.
I hear you.
So
that's great.
So another thing about Skeletor.
Skeletor was supposed to be from a race of skeletal beings from another dimension, but in the 2002 series, to be Keldor, King Randor's brother. So he's actually He-Man's uncle.
Yeah. Another thing that makes the gameplay a lot deeper than your average platformer in Batman is the resource management of the different power-ups you have. You don't collect power-ups in this game. Batman just has them all. And then it's up to you to use your ammo properly to get through. And you could use the super powerful attack where it splits into 3.
The Dirk. It's
yeah,
called.
the Dirk. Or you can use the boomerangs. Or you can use...
I think they're called batarangs.
Batarangs.
Ooh, the internet's coming after you.
Yeah. Or you can use the rockets. He's got a rocket, right? That's the last one.
It is like a harpoon.
Yeah.
Actually.
Harpoon?
Yeah, that is actually, I think, like it's supposed to be like a harpoon gun. I know all this because I looked at the instructions.
Yeah.
This is like, well, because
cool.
this figure is
Well,
actually, it's the movie, Tim Burton movie figure, but NECA does, NECA does like NES color, you know, like they have
Oh, look at that cool.
Freddy and Jason, but they colored them like the NES ones. And they also have, I have the Contra guys too, but they're just repaints of Dutch and
all right, everybody, here you go. Spear gun, batarang, Dirk.
Dirk.
That's what I said. I said Dirk.
Why is it called the Dirk?
Because they were big. Sunsoft was a big fan of
Dirk Diggler.
I was going to say Dirk. I was going to say Dirk the Daring from Dragon's Lair. I just made that up. I just made it up.
That's fine. That's good.
But no, like so. Well, I forget what I was gonna. Oh yeah, I have a bunch of these though.
Oh, that's cool. Aren't there jetpack dudes?
I don't know. That's it. Yeah.
There was no ending to that. I got a bunch of toys, guys. This is why we bring you on.
Yeah. I contribute a lot.
A key thing to your success in this game is learning the patterns of all the different enemies. There's really not that many enemies in the game. It's like the little spiky things. There's the guys that run at you. But the guys I hate the most are the jetpack guys that shoot down at you on a diagonal.
Jetpack guys are shit in any game.
Oh, I hate the jetpack guys.
They're always assholes.
Yeah, the guys I think are annoying in the game are like the big, like, I think they're called, I want to say they're called Jagger or something like that.
The hopping things?
The big hopping, like, monkey kind of dudes.
Yeah.
Those are horrible, but what you want to use, though, is the Dirk. So you kind of get them on the side of the screen to where they won't jump out at you yet. And you can kind of like see their like hands sticking out the side of the screen or whatever. And then you just toss the Dirk at them. And then they're... You just don't like that it's called a Dirk.
It's just so weird that it's called a Dirk.
Yeah, but a Dirk is like a kind of like medieval knife.
Is it?
Yeah. Huh. So it's like... It's
Batman's version of that.
But it's like, in that it's a ninja star.
You know Longshot from X-Men?
Yeah.
Like, he would throw a Dirk.
A Dirk.
Yeah, that's like what
I just
that's about.
imagine Batman being like, Robin, pack my Dirk into my belt. My utility belt.
Dirk.
The Bat Dirk.
So those weapons are all important. Having the batarangs and using them in the right places. And I always thought it was funny because we talk about Batman not using a gun, but here's Batman basically pretty much with a gun, even though I guess it says it's a harpoon. Are you having fun? There it is.
Yeah, there's the
This is the harpoon gun. There it is.
His Dirk is somewhere in his belt.
Yeah. Oh my god.
All right, so I don't know.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done with the Dirk.
Fuck. Yeah.
So one thing I'll say on a serious note, I like the background design a lot. I know we were talking about how it's like, but it reminds me of the animated series where they painted all the backgrounds on black paper and they only painted the color rather than the shadows and everything. It's because they already had shadows. It was all like, so it reminds me a lot like how they went about with that, where I don't like when you're playing an NES game and the background's just black. And there's like a few things, and but this I like where it's faded into it because they almost make a gradient effect with the pixel art.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where it just goes to black.
Yeah, it's not like just a black background. I'm trying to think of like what games, things like, you know, like Action 52 and shit that looks like that, where it's just a black background with some dots.
They didn't care.
But this is like the buildings fade in, even though it's not really a gradient and it's not transparent. They fade the artwork in such a way that it's believable that these shadows are there, and it looks like a dark Gotham. It's really cool.
It's how you do it right with having it look like that. I mean, the game basically looks like it takes place at night, and on top of it, with him being purple, I think it could also be just sort of like if you think of the lighting of things at night. So maybe they thought of it as, you know, just the light shining off of him made him sort of look purplish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just think, on the NES, they had limited tiles that they could have in memory at any given time and limited backgrounds. All of those smooth gradients, like dithering, they had to do like on a case-by-case basis because it depended on the heights and things like that. This game is technically impressive.
Yeah.
For being on the NES. It doesn't have a lot of flickering. It doesn't have a lot of slowdown, which is awesome.
It's easy to pick up and play because you can learn the game very easily. And I like games like that where you can learn how to play this game in about a minute because what do you got? You got your basic punch, which we were talking about that earlier, how there's an interesting thing that you can do when you're playing the game. If you just sort of like duck and punch a bunch, you can actually have like enemies just like go through you like bosses.
Yeah.
And the punch is actually very good. And it's also, I should mention how satisfying it is to hit things in this game. When you punch an enemy, it feels good. It has that going for it, where a lot of games, the hit detection sucks and you punch something and it's like shitty.
Yeah.
The 3 weapons that you mentioned, what's really good about them is that they all have real uses. You really use those 3 weapons all the time, and you don't have like a 4th weapon or a 5th weapon that's like this shitty like, oh, I got the clock that I'm never going to use other than one part of the game. They're very usable, or it's like kind of like the Mega Man games. There'll always be like, you go through all of Mega Man 2 with, you know, just using the metal.
I hate when I accidentally hit the flash stopper. And you're like, shit.
And it wastes like all of it.
And you're like, come on.
And there's only like one place in the game to use it is when you're like dropping down.
With the quick man and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I hate that.
So all of that's good. Like we said, the music is fantastic. I wish we had a musician sitting here that could talk better on it, but
like why it's good.
Why it's good.
Right?
I don't know how to articulate that. You got anything for me? Why is the Batman music so good?
It's almost like when we were talking about the TMNT game, even though it's not none of the music from the Ninja Turtles NES game is from Ninja Turtles, but for some reason it feels like it's Ninja Turtles and your mind associates it with it. None of the Batman music is from Batman, but when I think of it like dun 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 dun. It's like it's Batman. I don't know what it is. It also might be because I watch a lot of Arcus, and he's always like the Batman.
I think if you look at games like Blaster Master or Journey to Silius, other Sunsoft games, like the way that they do the instrumentation, like the way that the synthesizer sounds, for lack of a better term, the way that they have certain instruments in mind when they're creating what the soundtrack is like. In terms of what those frequencies are, I mean, I don't know much about it, but they definitely have, there's like a trademark like Sunsoft style, you know, and I don't think that there were a lot of other groups that had that level of skill. Like, you know, the Nintendo's music is iconic, Capcom, Konami, whatever. Sunsoft is another style that I think worked very well in the NES.
Well, even on the Genesis version of this game, Sunsoft's music is awesome. It's some of the best music on the Genesis, in my opinion, is Batman.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't the only Batman game on the NES. There was also Batman Returns, which is essentially like a beat-em-up style Batman game. This one's by Konami. It's not Sunsoft. And nobody talks about this one for good reason. This game is absolutely terrible. It is just the worst beat-em-up you could imagine, pretty much,
I never knew that was even on the NES. I've played the SNES one. And that one's good. The SNES one's fun.
Yeah, but this one's not good, and nobody talks about it. And then there's Return of the Joker, which I was intimidated for a long time to play this game, but this one is Sunsoft. This is pretty good. It's light years better than this thing, but there's certain things about it that are bad. I think there's 2 Joker fights in this game, and when you get to the Joker, the first time, he's like in this like spaceship thing, and the fight goes on for a ridiculously long time, and it's very like just not balanced well, where the first Batman game is like the most balanced game I can think of. It's 5 levels. They all are about the same length. Like, it's just a perfectly put together like pacing to this game. This game's kind of all over the place. I'm not going to say that I hate this game or love it, but it's kind of
I've played the Genesis one of that, and that one's god-awful.
Do you think that Return of the Joker suffers from what a lot of NES games did, like the move from Ducktales to Ducktales 2, or from Chippendale to Chippendale 2? All of the second acts in any of these NES franchises are always a little bit worse because of the time involved. Maybe the Super Nintendo was coming out, the Genesis was, the teams had moved on. Mm-hmm. I think that that game is probably worse. When did that come out? What's the date on it?
This one came out in 1991.
So that came out in 1991, and I think that explains a lot about...
This Batman Returns came out in 1992, so this is actually the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, for the NES?
Yeah, so actually, yeah.
So,
and this one was, what, 89, I guess? 89, yeah.
So the Super Nintendo is well out, or about to be out when that happened.
So they're Nintendo's and all that, they're concentrating on Super Nintendo, and this is kind of like...
Yeah.
I will say, though, the Return of the Joker's art is awesome.
Yeah.
The way the Joker looks on the front.
There's
with
a
the bat
lot of
symbols
great
in his
things about
eyes
it.
and stuff.
I like how the game looks. Like, Batman looks nice in it. It's just the gameplay is a little not the best. There's also... I want to mention, you and I once did a video about The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Super Nintendo. Yeah. There's that one. I love that game. That's a good game. A lot of people love that game, but I don't think it's as good as the first NES game. But it's very good. Then there's The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega Genesis, which is extremely difficult.
Yeah, and it's made by the Contra, the guys who made Contra Hardcore and and Rocket Knight. It's those same developers. Some of the dudes that went over to Treasure and everything afterwards or whatever.
And I think that's another thing that makes this game great is that the 1989 this Batman, it's more like you can play it, like anybody could pick it up and play it, and you won't get too turned off by it. Like, I think that game is something that people get quickly turned off by because of the difficulty. That's probably one of the hardest Sega Genesis games.
Yeah.
This game gets hard, but it gets hard in a fair way, where it gradually increases. And by the time you get to the Joker is extremely difficult to fight. And we should probably talk about the Joker fight in this game.
I can't beat the
Joker.
Well, I mean, we talked about the lightning and the movement and Castlevania. Remember? Like we did talk about. Like, we literally talked about, like, the whole fight.
I guess I had more things to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can...
okay.
No, I would love to talk about the Joker fight with you, Mike.
All right, fine. I'm not.
So he's got like a gun.
Yeah.
He has the gun from the movie. That
the long gun he like pulls out.
We didn't mention the long gun, and that's
which shoots like
and I mean, really, here on Retail Reviews, we want to give you the hard-hitting commentary. So when the gun hits Batman, it takes away 3 health containers.
Right.
Which is problematic because you want to have health.
Right.
Right? And then all of a sudden, the Joker has taken Storm's powers and he can make lightning come down.
That is weird. I never thought
from
about
above.
that.
And it's really important that you never stand next to a Joker when he's got his hand in the air. Right? Like if you were in school with Joker, you wouldn't want to sit next to him because when he goes like this...
Did they ever do a kid Joker
the lightning
thing? I guess that
down.
would make sense because he becomes a Joker when he's in
It's like Tiny Toon Adventures, but like Joker's there. Yeah. Is Joker on Teen Titans? That would kind of be what that's like.
I don't
Has
know
there
if
ever
there is
been a
one.
Teen Titans Joker?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I was bringing it up because as you go through the game, this game is one of the things that makes this game so good is that it has a difficulty curve that gradually ramps up. Every stage gets harder than the next, and then you finally get to the Joker at the very end, and he is the hardest part of the game. And because of the reason of him taking away so many, things with the gun, what happens to most people, if you finally get there, you get to the Joker, you're just dead. And then you're like, oh, great,
that's what happens to me. I can't beat him.
Right.
I've never beaten the Joker in this game. I've never beaten this game. I get to Joker and I lose.
So there's a very specific method that you have to do. When he goes to fire, you jump over, you don't want to get hit by the bullet, and then you got to get close to him and punch the shit out of him. But then he's going to raise his hand and do his storm ability.
Then you got to go like this.
And then you got to back off like Castlevania. Yeah. And that's essentially what you do, and you keep doing it for a while, and it's tough to do, and it's very tough to get it down. But at the very end, you get yourself a nice cutscene, and the game does have good cutscenes in it. You know, and the cutscenes are from the movie.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about like the game doesn't have much to do with the movie, but they, you know, the cutscenes are from the movie. And also, I wanted to mention there is a Famicom version of this, and there is a difference. A little bit of a difference in that they took the music and they actually swapped the music around on the stages.
That's weird.
I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it was just like a mistake or what, but there is that.
So I'm going to argue that there was going to be a pseudo sequel to this game, and it was going to come out in 1992. And I think that game was Superman. So Sunsoft was developing a Superman game. And 1992, like we were saying, we're in Super Nintendo era now. You know, people are moving on.
You're
from
talking
all
about
that.
what became Sunman.
And then it became Sunman. And, you know, I haven't really played Sunman, but I've looked at some screenshots and things researching for this episode.
I bought a reproduction card of that many years ago, and I never bothered to pop it in, and I should.
Yeah.
So I should have done that before.
But I looked at the pixel art in it, in Sunman, and I was like, this looks like it's like a spiritual successor, right? An actual successor to Batman. But as you're seeing, like the Konami, you know, Batman Returns come out and things like that, I think the licensing had moved on since then. And then they were probably thinking, oh, well, it's late 1992. Why are we putting out NES games?
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough time. So we never did get to see Superman or Sunman. But I have seen early builds of Sunman where it has the Superman theme and it has Superman instead of Sunman.
Okay, so they were planning on doing that. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So that's pretty cool. It'd be great if we had. Imagine if NES, like the NES library is already so awesome, but imagine if you had these two nice licensed DC superhero games in Batman and in Superman, because Superman has gotten the shaft when it comes to video games.
Yeah, that's true. I can tell you Superman got the shaft because I wrote that Ava Jan episode while James was working on the Superman 64 video, and Superman on NES
that game
is
was
one of the worst
No,
fucking games.
Now, Superman NES,
It sucks.
Superman NES is actually 3 years before this game. I wonder if that contributed to the licensing circumstances changing, because they're like, this game is hot garbage.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and then speaking of that, then there's also the Atari 2600 Superman, which is also fucking garbage, and it's very similar to E.T.
Yeah.
So yeah, Superman really got fucked.
When did Superman 4 come out?
What year?
90, I think 1990 or 91.
Didn't you guys just recently kind of do that?
Yeah.
I wasn't in that.
Oh,
that
you
was a
weren't
rental
on.
review,
Okay.
but because I actually do like Superman 4. When I was a kid, I liked it.
I saw it in the theater.
Goofy. Yeah.
All I can remember is like his fingernails with like the lasers just coming out of it.
I liked Nuclear Man because I'm a sucker for evil versions of good guys.
Right.
Like I like the Green Ranger and Slash from Ninja Turtles. I like the idea of a mirror twin bad guy kind of thing. So Nuclear Man was kind of this evil Superman that I liked, but that movie is pretty dumb sometimes. Like, what are you gonna do?
But I think that maybe like that lines up with that Superman timeline that we were kind of talking about, right? Because that movie would have came out right before when the game would have.
Yeah, now I'm really curious. Now I want to go home and stream the Sunman game since I actually
It'd be cool.
I think
I have it.
there's a Genesis Superman game, and it's by Sunsoft.
Oh yeah.
And it's actually, what's funny is his punches are the same. The sound effects for the punches are exactly the same.
Wow.
But you're walking around rooftops and it's sunny instead of walking on the street and it's
They literally
rainy
just
and
like turn
dark.
the brightness up.
It's
release
and
the
it's
game.
not good. It's not a good game. I've played
that's
it
rough.
and I don't know if it was wide release because I played it on an emulator. So I had never played it until then. I feel like it was a regular release game for the Sega Genesis, but it's not good.
It's crazy.
As much as I am a fan of this game and Arkham City, obviously we talked about that. I love both those games, but I don't want to forget about Batman and Robin on PS1 or Gotham City Racer, because those, other than Arkham City and this game, were obviously like the best of the Batman games. Have you played Batman and Robin on PS1?
No.
No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, you're missing. You're missing
Is it the
out.
beat 'em up one where they're like flying all over the place and shit?
It
or
is
is
not.
that forever?
It's like a 3D
it's
game.
Batman.
Okay, I have to put that out before anybody like took that the wrong way. I didn't know that neither one of you guys knew that
it's
game.
It's the one you and Tony played it, right?
Yeah,
that game. I never knew that existed.
So are those
until
games
you
like
guys played it.
trash?
Okay.
It looks
okay. Let's talk
awful.
about this real quick.
Flat out.
So this is like probably the best Batman game. The worst Batman game is I thought was going to be Batman and Robin on PlayStation 1, but the worst Batman game is Gotham City Racer.
Yeah, that's really.
PS1.
Is it like a
I
car
used to own
game?
that one.
It's a car game that like it seems like they didn't finish it.
It looks.
You're just
it's
you're the
really-
Batmobile and you're just the controls are completely broken
And then you don't
you're
even
just
know what you're
slamming into the
doing.
walls the whole
Like,
time. You can't control it.
There's no actual like. It feels like there's no real objective either. You could just drive around and nothing happens.
So it's like the big rigs of.
It's kind of it's
Yeah,
pretty damn
yeah,
close to
kind
big
of.
rigs. When I was collecting for a minute, I was collecting games for like when I was in college, I was buying up PlayStation and Sega Genesis. And I picked that up at a flea market just because I would pick up any PlayStation games I saw.
That's such a fucking tease for kids too, because you're like, oh shit, a game where you can drive the Batmobile
Yeah,
around.
and
That's
it
gotta be
looks-
awesome.
It looks cool because they tried to do like cell shading kind of with it, but once you play it, it's
well,
like
they were going for the
worst.
style of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, but it
it's-
looks like Batman the Animated Series if it was animated by like
a 1-year-old.
an animal or something. I don't even know, like like a dog animated it. It's awful. It's like the cars look like they're blocks of wood that are just textured funny. It's so bad, and I bought it for $8 at the Tacony Palmyra flea market, which is
sure, that's good.
Rest in peace. It's gone. I never had I always had buyer's
Big
remorse
Rigs is
with
popping out
PlayStation
right
1
there
games.
behind you, right there, by the way.
Is it here?
It's right next to your shoulder.
rigs.
Oh, big rigs.
Yeah, I'm
And
selling
the
it.
power glove is just
I'm
touching
selling it. $940 if you want it.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
big motherfucker.
It's in the box. It's in the box.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I watched James play it, and I'm good. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, Batman.
Yeah, Batman's great, and I agree. It is the best licensed game on
Do you think Arkham City's better?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Arkham City is straight up one of my top video games of all time. If I had like a top 10 list, it's tied for #1 with like 3 other games.
Better's a weird thing with talking about stuff like that, because it's kind of like we were saying earlier, it's like, how can you compare an NES game to like that?
It's a different thing.
It's like comparing a car,
I guess,
to the ocean.
The way
It
I would
doesn't make
say
sense.
is with this, it may be one of the best licensed games on the NES. But is it the best game of the NES, or would you even say it's one of the top 10 NES games?
I would.
You would?
Yeah.
I mean, our Arkham City, I think, is one of the top 10 video games of
all
the
time.
generation, and of all time, really, yeah. Because I used to just play that game to the point where I play it now and I go in and I'm Batman. I go into a place, I'm like, oh, how am I gonna fuck up all these dudes right now?
So how many hours roughly would you say you logged on Arkham City? Like 500 hours?
Probably. It's probably the game I've played the most out of any game, I think, in my life.
Wow.
So have you put more or less time into playing with the Batman toy?
Oh. Yeah, probably. I've only owned this thing for like less than a year, so
okay.
I bought this year, so
yeah.
and I
That's
don't
pretty cool, though.
This is the most I've played with this toy. I popped it on my shelf and I was like, okay, bye. And then I brought it in here and now I'm like,
He kind of looks like Skeletor from the back.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Or like Dr. Mindbender.
But
Hey, Ryan.
has a
hey,
purple
Ryan,
cape.
I know more about He-Man than you.
that's great. Go for it. I'm happy for you. Just so you know.
Is Batman your favorite
great.
superhero?
It was either him or Spider-Man, but I always kind of like Spider-Man a little bit better because I probably get myself in trouble for this, but like Spider-Man has actual superpowers,
Yeah.
and Batman doesn't. But that's what makes Batman so cool
No,
is that he doesn't.
You know what his superpower is? He's rich.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like Iron Man isn't
That's from
technically
the
a superhero
new movie.
either.
Yeah.
He's a genius or whatever. But my Batman and Spider-Man and Wolverine are my top 3 first like trifecta of superheroes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Those are the ones I like. I like everything with them.
You don't have a preference of Spider-Man or Batman?
I don't. Not really, because like I love Spider-Man. Like I like them all 3 of them are equal. I really don't have a like who do I like better. It's because I really like Batman and I really like Spider-Man and I really like Wolverine. They're
When it
that's what it
comes to film, Batman's so much better. Man, Spider-Man is so annoying.
What?
He's so annoying. He's like this Like,
I don't. In my
this like
opinion,
little twerp that's like on a school bus.
You
like,
want to know something?
I'm done.
I'm gonna fuck your shit up in a second. Right? Listen to this. I don't think that they've made a good Batman film yet.
Yeah.
I don't think any Batman
You don't
movie...
like Dark Knight?
I like Dark Knight, but I don't think it's a great Batman movie because it could have been anything. It could.
Are you also
take,
including like the animated ones?
Those I don't count because they're good. I love Mask of the Phantasm and I love the animated series.
I'm gonna also throw out. I think Batman has been more true in those forms. Than in the live action
because
forms.
here's the thing with the Dark Knight and all that. They make this super realistic world.
Yeah.
And it makes Batman seem stupid to me because it's like everything's realistic, but you got a guy running around as a Batman that's played by Christian Bale. I just like Joker makes more sense to me, and I thought Joker was awesome. But at the same time, like you could have made that movie about a cop fighting a crazy person, and it still would have been the same good movie. But Batman was just kind of put onto it. And then when they made the new ones, like, I was so excited for Ben Affleck. I loved the look. And then the movie sucked. And the only thing that was good about it was the Batman scene where he storms in the warehouse and beats the shit out of everybody.
Okay, well, that's your favorite Batman.
But Spider-Man, I think they've made many good films of.
Have they?
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire 1 and 2 are awesome.
Oh, my God.
And what's it called? What was it? Homecoming was awesome.
I watched Tobey Maguire Batman in a barber shop
Tobey Maguire's Batman? I haven't seen that.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And I'm just like...
Those movies blew my mind.
I like the Tom Holland
He's like tap dancing on a table in the...
No, but when those
we're not going to talk about the Andrew Garfield ones.
No, I mean... I didn't mind them. I thought they looked cool, but I didn't think they were too dark. They were trying to be Batman, Spider-Man.
Okay, so who's your favorite Joker though?
Oh, I'm not going to say Mark Hamill because I know that's the you know, of course, like the animated Mark Hamill is definitely and also Arkham.
What is
Mark
it?
Hamill's
Joaquin
awesome.
Phoenix? Like that's the only valid
I haven't
answer.
seen Joker yet. Actually, I haven't seen the new movie.
Like
yet.
I think that was better than.
Well,
I like Cesar Romero. I really like him.
Yeah,
because I'm a big. You know, actually, to be honest, I'm wrong. They have made a good Batman film. It's the '60s Batman film. I love that movie.
That's my favorite Batman.
It's awesome. I love that movie with
like
the dust
shark and like
and it's like sometimes you can't get rid of a bomb.
I want to ask you again though. Who is your favorite Joker?
Oh, Mike Matei is my favorite Joker.
Thank you. Now we can end the video.
That's great.